Hey there, and welcome to your first Monday mobility session. So the idea is that this doesn't just happen on a Monday, but that you kick off the week on a Monday, realize how much better you feel for doing your mobility work, and then carry on for the rest of the week. Today, we are going to do a run warm-up, and we're going to do it in standing for any of you who have grumbly knees that don't want to be kneeling down. Now, this is, or a variation of this is something I would do whenever I go out for a run to make sure I've loosened up my body pre-running. There's loads of different options, so this isn't the only way of doing one, but this is the one that we're going to be doing today. And choose which ones you like over time, and then you can develop your own warm-up. So we're going to start off in standing. I've got my left leg forward, my right leg back, quite far apart with the two legs. And I'm going to start by tucking under at the back. So imagine that your pelvis is a bowl of water. At the moment, if I'm standing here with my leg behind me, I'm tipping the water out the front. I'm trying to tuck under and bring that pelvis back up to level. Probably not quite to level, depends how tight you are, but certainly bringing it up so I'm not tipping all the water out the front. And I'm just tucking under and pulsing. Tuck under, hold for a second, release. Tuck under, hold for a second, release. And as I do that, if you keep doing that, I can feel a stretch into the front of my hip on the back leg. This is where I'm trying to get into. Now, if you're not feeling anything there, try tweaking your position. Make sure you've got the leg behind you. Make sure you are tucking under, trying to bring that pelvis up to level. But if you're not tight, it's not a problem. Our mobility work is to loosen up tight joints. If they're not tight, then we don't need to worry about it. I would still do a little bit of work there, but if you're not tight, then just you can move on to the next thing. So tucking under, making sure it's the front of the hip rather than the inside of the leg that you're loosening up. Then from there, we're going to tuck under, bring the pelvis to level, push forwards. So now I'm effectively, by taking my weight forwards, this leg is extending further back behind me. So I'm tucking under, pushing forwards, getting a deeper stretch into the front of that back hip. And now I'm going to start doing a few more things just so I can get a bit more bang for my buck. So as I go forwards, I'm going to put my hands onto my knee and I'm really pushing this front knee as far forwards as I can. So now I'm loosening up my ankle at the front, still getting the hip at the back. Going again, and this time I'm going to make sure that I push my knees towards my little toes. We tend to default to pushing towards our big toe. That's a kind of way of cheating if we haven't got good ankle mobility. So I'm pushing towards my little toe, and then if I want to make it more challenging still, I'm going to imagine that I've got a grape underneath the arch of my front foot, and as I push forward, push my knee towards my little toes, I'm trying to make sure I don't squash that grape, making sure that I keep my heel on the ground at the front. So I'm up onto my toe at the back, into the loosening up the heel at the front. And then we can add in one more. So rather than just coming backwards, I'm going to come backwards. My heel's gone down at the back now. Coming backwards, and I'm straightening up my front leg as I push my hips backwards, chest coming down. And now I'm getting a nice stretch into my hamstring, the back of the thigh at the front. So let's do that again. Tuck under, push forwards, getting a stretch into the hip at the front of the back leg, pushing my knee forwards at the front, keeping the heel on the ground. And then I'm coming backwards. Hips come backwards, chest comes down, loosen up the hamstring. Make sure you keep the knee soft as you push backwards. We're trying to stretch the back of the thigh, not the back of the knee. Twice more. From there, remember which leg was at the front? My left leg was at the front. Taking my legs wide side to side, and I'm just going to do side lunges. Not worrying too much about my technique. My main focus is just loosening up the inside of the thighs. If we're tight on the inside of the thighs, we struggle to engage our side glutes. If we're tight at the front of our hips, we struggle to engage our back glutes. Our back glutes and our side glutes, glute max, glute med, glute min, all really essential for our running. They're the most fatigue resistant muscle group in the body, so we want them to be powering through our running, but they're also really important in terms of keeping our hips stable, keeping our knees stable. So protecting us from injury, making sure we're running in the most efficient way. So we don't want to be tight in here because we want to be able to engage these guys at the side. And because if we're over tight here, our body's just not going to be moving in the way that it's designed. So now we're going to do what we've already done on the other side. So now I've got my left leg behind me, right leg forward. I've turned to face the other way. You can keep facing the way you were before and just swap the legs, whichever works easier for you. So now I'm tucking under, and now I'm loosening up the back hip on the left side. So tucking under, tip the water out the back, loosening up the front of the left hip. In terms of how much mobility work we need to do, I'd be aiming for 5 to 10 a day. I'd say 10 to 15 a day, but the more we ask of ourselves, the less likely it is to happen. So if we could do just 5 minutes a day, that's going to start making a massive difference. We'll soon start to learn the exercises that work best for us. Not necessarily the ones we prefer. Sometimes the things that are hardest are the things we need to do most, but the ones that make us feel the best. The areas we are tight, and that's different for everybody, the areas we tend to be tightest, we just want to loosen them up, and we'll feel the difference in our day. The rule of thumb is we should be doing a minute of hip mobility, so targeting our hips, for every hour that we spend seated. But that is quite a lot. That's probably 8, 12 minutes of mobility, just hip mobility work a day. If you can do that, brilliant, and you will feel the benefits for it. But if we're trying to build a new habit, we want to make it as easy as we can so we can prove to ourselves we can do it. We get into the reward of doing it. We feel better for having doing it, and then we can build on it. So I would always start easy, few minutes, and build from there. So we're now going to push forwards. So we're extending that hip or the leg at the back, knees coming forwards, aiming towards our little toes. So go again, push forwards, knees aiming. You can put your hands on your knee if you want to give it that push forward, keeping the heel down at the front, aiming towards the little toes. Push backwards. So just keep swapping, not too fast, not too slow. You don't need to move your feet each time, you're just pushing forwards and then pushing your hips backwards. So we've done our hips, we've done our ankles, we've done our hamstrings, we've done our adductors, the inside of our thighs. Those are all the main areas in the lower body we want to loosen up in terms of mobility work before running. We also want to have a quick go at our thoracic spine, so I'll give you that one in a second. And we want to get our glutes firing up. So the easiest one for our thoracic spine, which just means we can have some movement through that upper body, is to be kneeling on all fours. Imagine you've got a laser beam from your belly button down to the floor. That laser beam doesn't want to move. Then we're going to take one arm up to the ceiling, either hand, or if you're too stiff in the arm, then just elbow up to the ceiling. Imagine I've got a camera on my front. I'm trying to take a photo of that wall there whilst keeping that laser beam pointing down to the floor. Then reach through, and my camera's trying to take a photo to the other side. So I'm trying to move my upper body whilst keeping my hips where my belly button is without moving. Take a photo on that side. Take a photo on that side. Remember, the camera is attached to your chest. Same on the other side. It's not about the arms here. This is about the mid-back. Mobility through the mid-back. And the last bit we want to do is to get our glutes engaging. It's not so much strengthening, it is strengthening, but we want to actually wake them up, remind them that they exist. Easier if you can stand slightly off the floor. So if you've got a step, or I'm just standing on a book, one of my favorites, Female Body Bible, just so that my other leg can swing freely. Hold on for balance if you want to for this one. I'm going to stand on my left leg, I'm swinging my right leg back behind me, and as I do that, I'm making sure that I keep that neutral pelvis. So I'm tucking my tailbone under. I'm not tipping the water out the front as I go forward. I'm not tipping my body forwards as I take the leg back. I'm thinking about staying upright as I take that leg back behind me. So I can really feel my bum here working. I'm practicing my neutral pelvis. I'm practicing taking that leg into extension, so the leg coming back behind me whilst keeping the pelvis level. I'm making sure I'm not using my lower back. I can really feel my bum firing up here. And make sure that you're not just kidding yourself taking your leg, so you don't want to bend at the knee and kick your heel back. I want to separate those two thighs. So how far can you separate those two thighs, or my knee, one knee from the other, while taking the leg behind? Swap over onto the other side. So I'm working on this ability to engage my glute whilst I'm keeping my pelvis stable, whilst I'm not tipping the water out the front, and I'm getting that glute firing up in the process, all of which I want to happen when I'm running. So not only am I activating the muscle, but I'm getting my brain just to connect to my body, understand the patterns I want to make when I'm running. So there we go. That is a run warm-up in standing. Give it a go. It's a good one to do even if you're not running, so you can use that as your warm-up all this week. And then next week we'll have another one. Take care.